I've told y'all numerous times that we really don't know what we're doing in this whole mini homesteading adventure. And, you know, we are learning as we're going and we're really enjoying the process. But there is a challenge when you don't really know what you're doing, is that problems come up and you make mistakes and you have to figure out how to fix it. We got 3 new beautiful birds, and I was really naughty, and rather than quarantining them for a week, which is what I did to these birds here, we got them and we quarantined them away from the rest of my birds for a week just to make sure they didn't have any diseases or mites or lice, and they were good. But in my haste and my excitement and my desire to see this pretty black survivor have a friend and some friends, we rushed into mixing the 2, and we immediately put all the black chickens, the 2 from there and the 3 new ones, into this big chicken tractor. All right. So we've got 5 black in here. And we put the 4 brown chickens, Isa Browns, into this little one. These are Isa Browns, 4 Isa Browns. And I was sitting, watching them, drinking a cup of coffee and enjoying my new birds, this wonderful find, these free, gorgeous, friendly things. And then I noticed something. If you notice their feet, if you notice how their scales are lifting, I started noticing their feet, and they didn't look quite right. They didn't look quite right. And by the grace of God, I happened to be sitting with my friend, who is a vet. And she got up and looked at them, and she said, "Eleanor, I'm sorry to tell you, but these beautiful new birds have scaly feet." If I said a chicken had scaly feet, would you know what that meant? I didn't. I had no idea. You see, I'm a complete amateur. I know how to love birds, I know how to collect their eggs, and I know how to feed them and water them, and I'm only mildly good at keeping them from being eaten by a fox. But I do not know all the diseases that they can get. Well, one disease, I guess you could call it a disease, but one problem we have with chickens is mites. World of chickens. Mites may be one of your least favorite things to get because they're very hard to get rid of. Now, this chicken in the back that's coming here, there's another one that's under my legs. These birds are so friendly. Hello. Hello. I absolutely love them. Mites are a nightmare to get rid of. And to be honest, there's nothing on the market that you can buy to, if you will, inoculate or treat birds with mites. And mites are terrible because they burrow in the legs of the chickens, causing their scales to raise up. Yes, yes. We hear you. Not only do they burrow in their legs, causing pain and discomfort, but they lay their eggs. She really wants your attention, ladies and gentlemen. She wants you to pay attention to her. They also lay their eggs, and wood is a bear to get mites out of because they lay their eggs in the little nooks and crevices of the wood and make it very difficult to get rid of the eggs. So when my friend Belinda told me they have mites, little did I know what I was going to do. This bird wants to get out. I gotta put her back away. Okay, she is so friendly. Go back. No, she's already trying to fly out again. Okay, go back in, ladies. Go back in. They're so noisy. And my vet friend sighed because she knows how difficult it is to get rid of mites. Now, there are a few products on the market, but they're very controversial. And considering we're really trying to be completely organic, natural, and bringing chemicals onto our property is not our first choice. We didn't know what we were going to do. We looked into the natural options and we immediately jumped on them. We washed their legs with vinegar and I added some tea tree oil into the mix. And then we covered their feet and their legs with petroleum jelly. This is a technique used to try and smother or suffocate the mites. But actually, this is just the beginning. These mites can become a huge problem. And to make matters worse, I had already put those birds infested with mites in with my chickens. These 3 over here with the brown chests have been hand raised. So will my chickens end up with mites? I hope not, but I sure am keeping a close eye on those scaly little feet. The bunnies are safe because these mites don't cross-pollinate or whatever. They don't infect the bunnies. The only issue is the other chickens. And of course, not only these two, Easter eggers. They're at risk for getting mites. For that matter, maybe when we bought them, they came from a place that was infested with mites. The reality is, as bad as I felt and as guilty as I felt bringing these chickens with mites into our property, that's just par for the course. If you're gonna own these animals, you might end up getting animals that have diseases or have sicknesses, or in this case, have mites, or sometimes even lice. So what do we do? After considering our options, weighing the pros and cons, we've decided to try a controversial drug, a controversial treatment on chickens. However, this treatment is actually used on humans, cows, goats, and sheep. It's also known for being very effective at getting rid of mites. So we made the decision that we are going to treat every bird on our property in the hopes of kicking these mites in the tail and booting them off of our property, because we do not want our chickens to have mites. Good news about mites, they're not dangerous to humans at all. They can't affect us. They're not going to get into the eggs. We can still eat their eggs. They're not going to infect the rabbits. The worst is they can infect the chickens, makes them uncomfortable. It can cause them to lay less eggs, but no one's in danger. So that's the upside. Downside is now we have to deal with this mess. But I think we're gonna kick it. And it's probably a really good experience for Andrew and I to learn the realities of having these animals, that when diseases and pests and bugs get in, you just gotta deal with them. And that's the nature of the beast. It is time for the unveiling of the names of the rabbits. These 2 rabbits will be the first living animals on our mini suburban homestead to have names. They have been bred, well, hopefully you have, and they will be staying with us for a while, Lord willing. So we decided it's time. So this gray and white bunny that has always just been called the gray and white mean one is now officially called Rose. Rose because she's beautiful, but she's a rose because they have thorns and they're prickly. And this one, she likes to bite and scratch, so she's definitely prickly. So this, we would like to introduce you to, is Rose. Our sweet little pregnant girl who's always sleeping more and more these days. She is kind and sweet and definitely bred. And her name is Duchess. The kids decided to call her Duchess. So now we have 2 animals and they actually have names. This is Duchess and Rose, and we're pleased to introduce you to them. I've definitely learnt my lesson about quarantining birds and always doing it. I've also learned a lesson that, it's okay to not get it right every time. And I think in this one, if I'd known a little bit more about chickens, I would have very easily been able to at least diagnose one of them with mites. The other two probably took a vet's eye or a more experienced eye. But had I known more about these chickens, I definitely wouldn't have gotten them. I wouldn't have brought them onto our homestead. But now that they're here, I'm actually really glad they are. It's a great learning experience, and these are some beautiful, friendly birds that we're really happy are on our homestead.